Coming up next, an hour of music from St. Louis's historic Sheldon Concert Hall, celebrating the Gateway City's musical past and present, with performances by R&B vocalist Kim Massey. Rock icon Billy Peek. Hip-hop artist Theo Phonics.
Yeah. And we bounce, walk with me, hey, that be that Mound City, march.
A world premiere performed by the internationally acclaimed new music ensemble Alarm Will Sound, and more. Next on City of Music.
You know, you can tell a lot about a city by the kind of music that it creates. When St. Louis turned 250 years old last year, it seemed like a good time to take a look back on the role it played in shaping American music. At the confluence of the Missouri and the Mississippi rivers, it was early on a place where people from everywhere had big ideas about settling a continent and making music in the process. Some stayed, some moved on, and some returned. But the legacy of ragtime, jazz, blues, R&B, and rock and roll is still there in the music that's being made today. The most famous blues song ever is W.C. Handy's St. Louis Blues. But in the 1950s, in places like St. Louis's Club Imperial, something new was happening called rhythm and blues. And a young singer named Anna Mae Bullock was getting some attention. We know her today as Miss Tina Turner.
When we walk down the street, he never holds my hand. He says one day that he will marry me, but he tells his friends that that will never be. When we go to a dance, I have to go in alone, but he always catches me before I get home. Then he wants to hug and kiss on me. Everybody's sleeping and no one can see.
Here's St. Louis's own Kim Massey with her interpretation of two Tina Turner hits.
Did somebody say she look good? Understand that the touch of your hand makes my pulse react. That is only a thrill. Boy meeting girl, opposites attract. It's physical, only logical. But you must try to ignore that. More than that. Oh, what's love got to do with it? What's love but a second-hand emotion?
Okay, try to imagine rock and roll without a St. Louis guitarist named Chuck Berry. Hits like Maybelline, Roll Over Beethoven, rock and roll music and Johnny B. Good launched a revolution in popular music, influencing musicians ranging from the Beach Boys to the Beatles. Billy Peake is a St. Louis rock icon who's played with Barry and Ike Turner and was lead guitarist for Rod Stewart.
About 1955, Chuck Berry comes out and he records this record, Maybelline. And when I heard that on a jukebox, it really pretty much changed my life. And I always equated that to like, it struck me at first, it was like, it's a country song with a beat, but it's something that I never heard before. And the way Chuck was playing all these nice harmonies on his guitar and playing these nice little riffs and making it really, really rock. And of course, back then, there wasn't any rock and roll. I mean, at least there was no name for it, at least. And so what Chuck did is he took these little poems, is what I used to like call them, because I always looked at him as a poet. And he took these little poems and he put them to music with a strong backbeat, and it just became rock and roll.
Deep down in Louisiana, close to New Orleans, back up in the woods among the evergreens, stood a log cabin made of earth and wood, where lived a country boy named Johnny B. Good, who never ever learned to read or write so well, but he could play a guitar like a ringing a bell. Go, 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 Johnny, go, 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 Johnny, go, 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 Johnny, go, 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 Johnny, go, go. Johnny be good. He carried his guitar in a gunny sack. He sat beneath the tree by the railroad track. While the engineer would see him sitting in the shade, strumming with the rhythm that the drivers made. People passing by, they would stop and say, "My, but that little country boy can play." Go, 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 Johnny, go, 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 Johnny, go, 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 Johnny, go, 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 Johnny, go, go. Johnny be good.
And that takes us to the blues. The blues had its roots in the Mississippi Delta and came north, finding its way into clubs and juke joints, and later, the stages and recording studios here and across the country. W.C. Handy, the acknowledged father of the blues, said he first heard the blues on the St. Louis Levee, and his song, the St. Louis Blues, is the most famous blues song ever made. It's a favorite among blues singers here and everywhere.
Ain't nothing like the St. Louis Blues. And I think that what St. Louis performers have done is taken the Delta Blues and, you know, Chicago Blues, whatever the case may be, and we've sort of just put it all together and put it back at you like that. You can take the St. Louis Blues in this original form and create a bossa nova feel. You can put a jazzy feel on it. You can put a country feel on it. It's a song that you never get tired of performing, and most of all, you never get tired of listening to it.
I hate to see that
that evening sun go down. I hate to see, baby, that evening sun go down. Yeah. 'Cause my baby, oh, my baby, he done left this town. Say I'm feeling tomorrow just like I feel today. You done me wrong. I'm feeling tomorrow, say I'm feeling tomorrow. I'm feeling tomorrow, baby, just like I feel today. Well, I'm gonna pack my St. Louis trunk. Oh, yeah. Make my getaway. St. Louis woman with her diamond rings. I know y'all got them on, girls. Said that gal pulls her man around. Come here, boy. By the apron strings, yeah. Swerve a powder heat and a stove hair. Well, that man she loved, he wouldn't go nowhere. I got the St. Louis blues, baby.
With artists like Nelly and the St. Lunatics and Chingy, who, by the way, started out as an opening act for Nelly before signing up with Ludacris, St. Louis was an early hotbed of hip-hop. And new artists here keep coming up with new ideas, moving hip-hop into new places, often combining hip-hop with other musical traditions. Meet the Illphonics.
I like to read, so I know a little bit about the city, just a little bit.
We are what we call a hip-hop fusion group. There's so many different influences in our music that we didn't want to just classify it as straight-ahead hip-hop. I'm the hip-hop element, as I am the MC. The guys in the band come from collectives that are eclectic backgrounds that range from gospel to jazz. So we mix these things together to create the sound that we call the Illphonic sound, which is hip-hop with everything in between.
World Fair expose, the architecture unique. We H-U-S-T-L added E. Subtract the H-U slash that E for me. Would've won 3 letters, one happily. Show me Missouri, this St. Louis. Brown River Blues, Mecca, rock a red fitted cap. Check your coordinates, triangulate a spot on the map. We'll return to glory, but we keep steaming ahead. Like the powder wheel boat to clear a path with the dredge. Hey, cause we bounce and we bounce, yeah. And we bounce and we bounce, hey. Yeah, you're in a Mound City march, hey, yeah, and we bounce, come on, hey, and we bounce, get down. This is the Mound City march, listen, monument to the dream, I'm standing over the current.
Hip-hop is a culture. There's 5 elements to hip-hop: graffiti, breakdancing, DJing, MCing, and the 5th thing that we don't talk about is knowledge. Hip-hop comes out of the ghettos. And when hip-hop came out of the ghettos, it was a means for people to show their creativity in a peaceful sort of way. It brought a consciousness to the everyday life that people in these urban areas were going through. So when you speak of hip hop, you have to know the elements. If you don't know the elements, then you don't truly know what hip hop is.
Hey, cause we bounce, come on. Hey, and we bounce, yeah, yeah. This is that Mound City March, follow me. Hey, and we bounce, yeah. And we bounce, walk with me. Hey, and be that Mound City March, come on. Yes, and we bounce, and we bounce, yeah, yeah. And be that Mound City March. You feel it? Come on, and you bounce, hey, I see you. If you bounce, then we bounce. Hey, let's be that Mound City March. Take them out, fellas. Hey. Make some noise if you love St. Louis. There we go, STL 250. Wreck your city, St. Louis. Make some noise.
St. Louis, in its tradition as a city of music, has nurtured generation after generation of artists in a wide variety of genres. Artists who have gone on to make their marks nationally. Artists like baritone Robert McFerrin Sr., bluegrass and country artist John Hartford, singer Fontella Bass, R&B artist Oliver Sane and Little Milton, rock and blues pianist Johnny Johnson, soprano Grace Bumbry, jazz trumpeter Clark Terry, singer-songwriter Michael McDonald, saxophonist Hamiet Blewett, trumpeter Jeremy Davenport, soprano Christine Brewer, violinist David Halen, Broadway star Ken Page, vocalist Jeannie Trevor, and many, many more. A big reason so much talent has come from St. Louis is the backbone of musical discipline that's always been here, founded in a classical music tradition that's influenced musicians in every genre.
We were really lucky that around 135 years ago, the people in St. Louis said, you know, if we're going to have singing and music, we need to found an actual organization that's going to help this to go. And so this makes the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra the second oldest orchestra in the United States of America. New York was the first with the New York Symphonic Society. And what's interesting is to see the way that the symphony has grown and become from a local orchestra into a national orchestra, and then a trend-setting orchestra, and then an orchestra that has built an international reputation worldwide. The thing I think which sets the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra apart is the way in which all of the musicians are really extraordinarily gifted individually, but that individual talent is always put at the service of making music together. And so it feels like a big family and a big sort of chamber music party. And what that translates to in musical terms is a kind of warmth and emotional depth to the sound. So when the music is grieving, the entire orchestra goes to that place without holding anything back. When the music is joyous, you can feel a kind of almost laugh out loud type of glee. And I think it's this sense of going with where the heart goes in the music that makes the orchestra just a unique group of people in the symphonic world.
Some of the symphony's younger musicians are combining classical music with other genres. The 442s consist of symphony cellist Bjorn Reinheim and violinist Sean Weil, and jazz pop musicians Adam Manis and Sid Rodway from the Aaron Bodie Group. As they experiment, break down traditional barriers, and learn from each other, they're creating new sounds. new music.
There's a certain formality that the classical tradition brings to any endeavor. But when you take that classical training and that shedding of notes and really honing technique, and you combine that with so many of the wonderful musics of the world, I mean, not just jazz, but folk and American style music and Southern or South American music even. I think when you kind of bridge these boundaries, you don't have just classical music. You have this whole kind of idea, and it opens up these boundaries, and it takes genres that are so kind of closed off, and it kind of blows them open. And I think what we're seeing today in our city and in our world is really this cross-cultural communication between artists.
Now, when you think of bringing creative worlds together, not much tops opera, mixing music, drama, and the visual arts. Opera Theater of St. Louis brings audience both fresh productions of traditional opera as well as newly commissioned pieces.
It's one of the pleasures of spring in St. Louis is the Opera Theater of St. Louis festival season, because we do 4 new opera productions from scratch, all packed together into 6 weeks. It's the members of the St. Louis Symphony playing in the pit, so the musical standards have always been extraordinary. And people come from every zip code in our metropolitan area, but they also come from something like 47 states and 12 foreign countries every year just to attend the opera in St. Louis. And they come because we're doing the new and the unusual. We've done 24 American premieres and 25 world premieres in our now 40-year history. Opera is theater, and good opera has always been that, and that's always been in the DNA of opera theater. We are actually one of 2 companies in the world that still performs every opera in the English language. It's us and the English National Opera in London, and we do that because we believe in this idea of theater. Opera is great music and great singing, but what makes it meaningful is that combination of the music and the drama. And when it's in your own language, when the music and the words arrive in your ear at the same instant and you understand, it's got a power and a magic that is very special.
This is definitely not your granddaddy's opera company. In fact, Opera Theater and Jazz St. Louis joined forces to produce a jazz opera called Champion. It's the tragic story of welterweight boxer Emil Griffith, composed by Terence Blanchard with libretto written by Michael Christopher. It was an extraordinary collaboration that pushed the limits of what's possible in the world of music.
The days of trying to be very dogmatic about one's genre is past. I mean, here you have people walking around with their MP3 players on shuffle. They're flipping on their radios in their car from classical to jazz to funk to heavy metal. They don't really see the need for genres. They don't see the need to stay within the confines of a certain type of music. They want to be good music appreciators. St. Louis is very fortunate to have Grand Center as our arts and entertainment district. Here in the space of about 3 blocks, you have probably 10,000 seats in different venues that present world-class experiences of all types of genres. So you have excellent Broadway at the Fox Theater. You have world-class symphonic music at Powell Symphony Hall. You have excellent folk, jazz, and classical music at the Sheldon. You have, of course, some of the greatest jazz in the world right here at the Harold and Dorothy Stewart Center for Jazz. And when you have those types of opportunities where you can do that, there are those who take advantage of it, and I think that helps in breaking down a lot of barriers.